This is Umar for BoxNation. I'm in Ipswich, where we'll be back on June the 7th for a big fight week. The homecoming is happening here at Portman Road. Just to start off this interview with Fabio Wardley, I'm going to do something different. So last time I spoke to you, which was Jan 28th on camera, I'm just going to play you back. It'll be about 45 seconds. Just want you to listen to it, all right?
Who else is in the top 15 with the WBA? Just for argument's sake, that the Pulev fight doesn't materialise next, but you go to Ipswich in a big fight. I'm just looking at some names here: Lewis Ortiz, Jarrell Miller, Michael Hunter, Zhang and Cabal are both tied up. But I mean, the Miller one screams out to me a bit.
Yeah, the Miller one seems like fun.
It's an easy sell.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need someone. You need the right dance partner, someone who's going to do the dance with you and help you get there. And Miller, out of those list of names that you read out, would definitely be the one.
Okay, let's see if we can get Ipswich v Brooklyn done.
Yeah.
So I'll have my 10% for making this fight.
Tell you what, you got Frank's number. You invoice him, mate. You send the invoice over to him because he's in charge. He runs the game. But yeah, it's it's a funny one. Mystic Meggie, like for it to all culminate into that and being Miller, because there was a lot of speculation, a lot of thoughts that it would be Pulev. That was going to be the fight. That was going to be the one. Obviously, WBA regular and everything else like that. But that didn't materialise, hasn't materialised for a number of reasons. So
Can you go into them?
Ultimately, it's boxing and everything boils down to money. And he just wasn't playing ball. And to be honest, I just don't think he wanted to fight me. I think he had little to no interest in fighting me. So if he was gonna do it, he was gonna do it for an absolute bomb of a bag of money. So which is just not feasible. Didn't make sense financially for his worth as a fighter, for all of it, for everything, all the pieces putting together. And don't get me wrong, what we offered him was a hell of a package, like hell of a deal, but it just wanted more and more and more and more and more, and it was silly. So
So do you think he's got something else on the table, Pulev? Or
no. I know what's going to happen to him next, and when it does, he will regret his decision. But that's boxing. You take a look. You can take a chance on yourself and think, you know what, I'm worth more, or I've got a better opportunity over here, or a better opportunity over there, and maybe not. But from what I'm hearing, from what I know, he's not. His next one's not going to be bigger or better.
Look, even though this is about Ipswich, Portman Road, yourself, the show's built around it. As you said there, you still need a viable opponent in the other corner. And that's why I kind of probably said it to you at the time and highlighted Jarrell Miller, a loud guy from Brooklyn who loves to sell a fight, who's known to the British audience, who's a good fighter. I thought the fight he had with Andy Ruiz, he nicked that fight. So you're arguably saying he's coming off a win against the former world champion. And he's tough, durable. So this homecoming at Portman Road is ideal with Jarrell Miller in the opposite corner. Would you go along with that? Is it even better than Kubrat Pulev?
I think from a fan perspective, from a sellable perspective, from a entertainment perspective, yeah, I think from the boxing community looking at it and giving it its props, respect and dues, they'll nod their head and go, yeah, you know what, solid fight, that one. Like with Pulev, there was a few caveats. He's a bit old, bit past his time and all of that. Like, don't get me wrong, don't take away that he's very experienced, still smart, still strong and all of that. But there were some caveats there that people may gripe at. But with this, not to say Miller's in his absolute prime, but he's still a big, strong, energetic man who's going to be in front of you, he's never had a fight that's been a slouch, that's been lazy, that's been like cumbersome. He's just always been in front of his opponent. So one way or another, it's going to be entertaining.
The fact that it's at Portman Road and there'll be, 30,000 odd fans there?
Yeah, hell of a number,
How special will that ring walk be?
Yeah, it's gonna it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. I was doing some work with the club the other day in terms of promo and setting some bits up and looking over some bits, and I was just out on the pitch pretty much on my own, just looking around, and it was night time as well, and the like floodlights are on, and I was just taking it in and looking about, and I was thinking, yeah, this is gonna be like something special. Like, it's never been like last time boxing was in Ipswich. I was here. I was the headline, and it was a very small show, 500-600 people at the town hall, and that was 7 years ago, maybe. But there's never been anything like this in the town. Never been anything like this. So for me to bring it here, extremely proud. For me to give back as well, because like for me and Ipswich fans and my supporters and things, they've always travelled, they've always come with me, they've always, wherever I've fought, they've always been there, and they've always been loud, made themselves known as well. I think that's a large factor as to why I'm able to even pull this off, and why Frank's got the confidence of going, yeah, let's do a stadium show, because they've always turned up in numbers, they've always been loud, and they've always made themselves heard. So look, you stick 30,000 of them in a stadium, and that place is going to start to rumble.
Listen, as you said, you have to give credit to your fan base, who are very, very loyal. You just have to go on your social media. They always back you to the hills, go to your fights. They're extremely loud. But don't want to blow your own trumpet, but what you've done to get to this point where you're giving back to the whole of Ipswich in front of 30,000 people, which will be a special, special night, coming from nothing, essentially, to what you've done in a relatively short space of time. Do you have to just take a breath and think, right, obviously the hard work is yet to come yet, but wow, I've got it. Do you have to give yourself a bit of pat on the back or not?
The pat will come after. I think I'm always very wary of the prior to pats. Like, don't get me wrong, it's hard not to whenever everyone around you, or at least like my team and stuff, and you see their eyes wide and they're going, look, this is what we're doing. We're going to Portman Road, and everyone's excited. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's good. Is it good? And good. And I'm trying to just keep it low, keep it level, keep it thing, because then after, once it's done, dusted, I will sit and I will look, and then I will be like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll be able to give myself that credit. But until the job's done, until it's ticked off, until it's a success, the job's not done.
Yeah, I hear that. You've got to do the business. No point doing all this and going and losing on June 7th.
Yeah, or it being a bad show, or it being badly promoted, or not badly promoted, but badly pushed, and 10 people turn up, and it just not being the spectacle. One thing I always said about doing a show at Portman Road is I wanted to do it and do it properly. Make sure the opponent was right, make sure the event was right, make sure my status within boxing was right. It was not just, let's just do it because. And I think the stars have aligned, everything's in the right place, and it's going to hit on the right spot.
There aren't many people who can have a stadium show built around them. I know you've had your Froshes and Groves, but that's come off a huge fight initially with a bit of controversy. What I'm trying to say is, where one man's kind of the star of the show, and he's gone to his town and built a whole show around it. And that is quite a rare thing in boxing, really.
Yeah, it's a credit to my town, I think. It is a credit to Ipswich of them supporting their own, of looking around and seeing someone doing something, success, making something of themselves, and going, you know what, let's get behind that, let's support that. They're doing something good, they're doing the right thing, whatever it may be. Sports, non-sports, however, whatever, but people love to, in this town especially, people love to support their own and get behind them. And like I say, they've carried that through onto shows that have been here. Some of them even travelled to like Saudi when I've had fights there, and in London I fought in Sheffield and things like that. And they've always travelled and always been there. So yeah, it's a credit to this town that I've been able to pull that off, really, and pull it all together.
Once Pulev fell through, was there any other considerations on going on maybe a Riyadh season, Bill, or fighting away from Ipswich, or was it from your team to Queensbury? We've got to do the stadium fight Ipswich. What was that like?
There was never like. There was obviously I could have said to the team, no, look, right, let's do this instead. But I did really want the Ipswich Town thing. I just thought the timing of everything. I felt like everything had come together at the right time, right place, right time, kind of thing. So even when Pulev did fall together, I was like, right, well, who else can we find in placement? So yeah, look, if I'd really said to him, no, you know what, either let's extend this Pulev conversation and keep dragging it out further and further, and see where that goes, and maybe we end up somewhere else, or BO2 or whatever else, and maybe they were all options, but realistically, especially for me, I wanted Portman Road. I just felt like it was the right time for it. So yeah, thank you to Frank and that for pulling it off.
Happy with what he's delivered you?
Yeah, look, he's delivered all the way through. There's a reason why I was independent for so long and then picked to go with Frank, because I sat down with him, had dinner with him, had to chat with him, and I really kind of believed what he said to me and believed in his faith and believed his vision of what he thought for me, and he's done nothing but deliver for me.
Okay, before we come back to Jarrell Miller, just want to get your take on a post from the Fight Disciples. You responded it to as well. So this was when you were going to fight Pulev. Fabio Wardley dropping the British heavyweight title to fight for some crap B-class world title is all too normal in modern day boxing. That was a post from Fight Disciples. You did respond to it. But yeah, what did you think about that?
Yeah, I just thought it was just like... I just thought it was like boring, clickbaity, just bullshitty. Like, it's unnecessary. What for? Like, I think Danny Wilson, my S&C coach, actually he replied to it as well, because they were because the Fight Disciples post was about, he followed on from that. I think about saying about how saying the British title is being disrespected and it's not being held to the prestige it was before. And my reply was just like, mate, do you know how long I've held on to that belt and what I've done with it? Like, I've defended it against David Adelaide. I won it against Nathan Gorman. I fought against Fraser Clark for it twice. Sold out, well, not sold out, but headlined the O2. I took the British to Riyadh twice. So I've put it on global stages. When I fought Adelaide for it, I was chief support to Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury. Massive show, massive exposure for the belt. Second time, Bivol Beterbiev, massive show, massive exposure. Then the O2 show, massive fight, which ended up being fight of the year for the British heavyweight title. So I didn't really understand this week. It was confusing for me, really. Like, what do you want me to do? Hold on to it forever, for as long as I can? Because I don't know, because they're supposed to be boxing people, so they would understand that at some point there's going to be a mandatory called for me holding on to that belt. So what am I supposed to do? Fight every mandatory that comes my way? What have I do? Got to single-handedly destroy the British scene myself? Like, any prospect that comes through, I've got to, nope, that's my belt. Nope, my belt. Or my career's, I've had my time in the sun with that belt. I've had my moment. How about I drop it off, push it on, let whoever's next have their go. And that helps keep the flow of good fighters coming through and pushing on and doing whatever else. So, yeah, when that tweet came out, I had a bit of time on my hands to reply.
Right, moving on to Jarrell Miller. As I said, he did really well against Andy Ruiz. He was actually doing well against Daniel Dubois in his previous fight. He did get stopped. A guy like Jarrell Miller, I mean, you know what he's going to do. He's going to come forward. Oh. Maybe end up like that. That's what you plan to do.
Yeah.
The fans just fell over in here. But he's going to come forward. He's tough. He's durable. He's going to make you work hard. A guy like you, I'm looking at you, especially the rematch with Fraser Clark where you steamrolled him. Are you going to try and do that to Jarrell Miller?
Look, it's in the locker. I'll assess it. I haven't had a full on proper look at him in depth, in detail. Because there was a lot of he was stopped by Daniel, don't get me wrong, but he was stopped in the very last round. So look, if I go balls to the walls and try and get him out of there in the first few, then I'm gonna find myself in a Fraser 1 situation where I've blown my load and now I'm fighting my lung, I'm busting a lung in the last 8 or whatever rounds. So it's gonna have to be a strategic fight. I'm gonna have to pick it, break him down, pick him apart. But you've seen it can be done. So there's no set game plan just yet. So no set way of going about it. I think I've proven at least that I'm multifaceted, that I have different aspects to me. Look, if I want to blitz you and just land one on you and just crumble you, then yeah, that's in my locker. He'll know that. I've got power in my hands. He'll be well aware of that. And also, if it has to be a 12-round barnstormer, I've been seen done that as well. So they're all there. It's just how I post once we've had a little proper look at him, proper analysis. Then we'll decide, all right, what's the best plan of action here.
Listen, if you blitz Jarrell Miller, who's got the toughest chin in the business, the best durability, then we're going to have to start putting you in a conversation with Ernie Shavers, aren't we?
Yeah, I might have to. I'll work my way up there, something. But if I blast him out, then yeah, seriously, I'm going to start making some serious claims for myself. I tell you.
Do you need to have it in your mind though that this is going to be an extremely tough night's work?
Yeah, look, that's a given. I think I'm past the point of assuming that anyone that I face is an easy night's work. I'll hold my hands up and admit that I made that mistake for the first fight with Fraser Clark. That I thought, give me a few rounds. I know my strength. I know my power. I'll blitz him. I'll get him out of there, and I'll get rid of him. And I hurt him, and he got back up, and then he stayed there for the rest of the fight. And then I thought, oh, okay, all right. So, yeah, look, I've got the power in me to get rid of anyone, but I do obviously. I've got the experience now to not be as dumb and naive to think it's just coming or it's just a given.
I know you said you haven't studied him too much, and I said the obvious traits that he has and what he does well. Do you think he's got any more facets to his arsenal that people don't pick up on or not?
He's got. I know he does get hit quite a bit, but I do think he has actually got pretty good head movement as well. It's relatively pendulum. Same, bop, sway, bop, sway, bop, sway. But it's not bad. He dips, tucks, moves. He can do a bit of that as well. So he can mix things up. He isn't just walk forward, hands up, unload shots kind of guy. He can mix it up. So he might try. I'm not going to go as far as say he's going to try and box me, but he might play around a bit with what else he has in his arsenal, because I'm not going to say he's just got one thing about him. Again, that would be naive of me to say someone of that level, that experience is just a one-trick pony.
Yeah, fair. Look, he comes in around 300 pounds. You're not going to find many heavyweights who do fight at that weight. So in terms of sparring for Jarrell Miller, is it going to be a difficult process to find enough sparring partners?
No, I don't think so, because focusing on the weight isn't a massive issue for me. I'm not fussed about a 300-pound man. Ultimately, he's not the biggest man I've ever faced, funnily enough. I've faced a guy named Scott Sawyer very early on in my career who's actually much taller and weighed more. So, and I knocked him out in a few rounds. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a very large experience gap and quality gap there. But me dealing with size has not been a problem for me. Fraser Clark, for example, much bigger than me in terms of stature, size, weight, bigger than me. Most of my opponents are bigger than me in the sense. So me dealing with someone bigger, is nothing new to me. And I don't think I'm gonna heavily focus on him being so big. It's more so the way he fights is the thing. And then that can, if I put the right plan together, stick to the plan, I can negate the whole, he's 300 plus pounds, whatever.
Not to put any pressure on you, but do you want to stop him quicker than Daniel Dubois?
Look, it's always great to make a statement. I've won up Daniel once before with Richard Larty. I stopped him quicker than Daniel, and everyone was, "Oh, look what he did! Look what he did!" So it's always good to do, but at the same time, it doesn't mean a lot either. Really, like if I do it 1 second before Daniel or 5 rounds before, like, does it then mean I'm better than Daniel? Like, no, basically. It doesn't mean anything. Styles make fights. Just the way I fight might have been more unsettling for him than the way Daniel fought, or I may have caught him better, or just whatever. Like, there's so many different variables. But yeah, look, it's a great little accolade. I'll certainly use it. Like after, it'll probably be a line of a paper, or Fabio Wardley stops Miller in so many rounds and does this and that and blah blah blah. Like, they're good headlines, but ultimately it doesn't mean anything.
Right. Jarrell's been clean for his last few fights. He would have been tested for the Dubois fight, the Ruiz fight, etc. What is the drug testing for this fight in terms of contractually? Is there VADA testing for this?
Yeah, full and immediate effect. Full and as of immediate effect all the way through. Obviously, he's been clean, but he's also been very dirty in the past. So making sure that's maintained, making sure that's just making sure the health and safety of me is paramount. Really, look, I don't mind losing in a fair fight. I got no problem with that. An unfair fight, I have an issue with that. I have a big issue with that. So yeah, that's all in full effect, all fully agreed. That was probably the first line of the contract. So yeah, look, that's in there for the pair of us, obviously, as well. And I've been signed up to it for the longest, and with UCAD and VADA as well. I'm signed up to both, so they quite happily turn up at my door at 6 a.m. as well. So that we're both under the same rules, regulations, and scrutiny as well. So it's no one-sided affair or anything at all.
He is a character. Are you looking forward to the build-up? He's going to try and rile you up.
Yeah, I love a bit of fun. Because it's good to have someone to go back and forth with, to be honest. Because, like, sometimes I have to get it out of people, and some people aren't talkers, some people are, but he's always proven like he's big, boisterous, got a loud mouth, got something to say for himself. So cool, no worries, let's roll.
Now, I won't ask you this on fight week because your full focus has to be and in camp on Jarrell Miller. But if you put in a statement, stop Jarrell Miller in front of your home fans at a stadium, big show, the country's watching, where does that put you next in terms of a conversation? Aren't we looking at the Parkers, the Dubois of the world? Where does that win take you, Fabio?
Yeah, I would think so. Look, I think when I was going to do the Pulev thing, everyone thought, "Oh, look, that's a bit of an unfair leap that I was pushed to one with the WBA, and I was going to fight Pulev for a world title in sense." Everyone felt like I needed a test or a proving point beforehand. So fair enough. Here you go. You've got what you wanted. Let me do that, because any other test everyone thought I needed before I've passed. So this is just another one for me to get through. And then once I'm done, then I'm there. Then I'm in the mix with Daniel, Parker, whoever else, whatever else big name you want to put up there. Fabio Wardley's in the conversation as well.
Well, Usyk's come out and said he's going to have 2 more fights. So if we take him out the equation after that, Tyson's obviously retired. I'm looking at Dubois and Parker as the top boys. Who do you see as the top guy out of them two?
The top guy went like
out of them two. If we take Usyk out the equation because he'll be retired,
I would say Dubois at the moment. Look, I think you have to. I love Joseph Parker, and I love his streak as well that he's on. I'm loving watching it. But until you beat the guy, you're not the guy. And that's not to take away from him. That's not to say you can't. I'm just saying until you beat the guy, you're not the guy. So I would, at the moment, top of the tree is Daniel. He's the one with the belt. If again you're removing Usyk and all the other else. And his lead to winning the world title as well, his run of fights as well was a fantastic run of fights leading up to. So yeah, he's the one at the moment.
Well, listen, June 7th at Portman Road, Ipswich Town. It goes down live on DAZN. Fabio Wardley for Jarrell Miller. Tickets are going to fly. So how do people get tickets? Contact you. Go through Queensbury. What's the process?
We are working in conjunction with the football club.
Okay.
So the tickets will be going through the football club. So literally type in ITFC tickets or Fabio Wardley Miller tickets, however you go about it. But the channel will be through however like a normal ticket is sold for a football match, any normal football match or whatever. So we're going through their ticket process. And we're trying to work out something special for like long-term fans of the club in terms of season ticket holders, things like that. So we're trying to work out little bits like that. But yeah, they're running the game. But also, give me a shout as well if you want some tickets. My team is here to help and distribute them as well. Like everyone get on board because this is going to be a moment. This is going to be a memorable moment. I had one last year with obviously a big fight with Fraser. This is a bigger opponent, bigger fight, bigger occasion, bigger stadium, and one thing you do know about me is that when the lights turn on, as bright as they get, the bigger I get. So this is the one to watch out for. Big baby, I hope you're ready. Ipswich Town, Portman Road, 7th of June, my hometown, my place, my people. You need to be prepared. You need to be at your best because you've seen what I've done previously and there's no doubt of what I'm planning on doing to you.